Okay, today English Football League clubs have revealed how much they spent on agents' fees this year. The Premier League clubs alone spent £260 million so far in both transfer windows this season. That's an increase of £49 million on last season. Liverpool topped the list with £43 million spent alone just on agents' fees. Chelsea and Man City are behind on £26 and £23 million respectively. Liverpool's agents' fees alone is nearly equal to what the Championship spent, which is £50 million, which I think is still an insane amount of money, which has also gone up by £8 million. It's madness, right? Sunderland alone spent 50% of League One's £5.5 million in agents' fees. The amount of fees has gone up across the board, but the value of transfers has actually dropped by £500 million. There's something wrong here. Overall English club spend was £318 million on agents' fees alone, which is £60 million up on last season. This kind of level of spending is unsustainable for the majority of clubs. If clubs want to compete and get to the promised land, which is the so-called promised land of the Premier League, which, to be honest, is just killing clubs at Championship level and below, the promise of the finances of the Premier League is actually killing clubs. Look at Bolton. Look at the state they are in. Look at Aston Villa last season. This kind of reckless spending is unsustainable. Fans are unhappy with ticket prices. The TV deal, these guys could let us in for free. Yet they're wasting excessive amounts of money on agents' fees. The overinflated transfer market last season has caused this. Yet somehow the agents' fees have gone up, but the transfer values in total have gone down. Something doesn't smell right here, does it? The attempted sale of Wembley raised this debate on agents' fees, and should there be a levy on agents' fees? Abso-fucking-lutely. This is a grubby, murky side of football that, needs to be more transparent, more streamlined, and better regulated, because so far it isn't. The agents are just going, oh yeah, I'll take 20% of what that transfer is worth. The agents are raking it in because they're out of control. The transfer fees alone are out of control. Neymar's agent made €80 million out of his transfer to PSG last 2 summers ago. €80 million. He never has to work again. The sheer greed of these agents and the overinflation of the transfer market is causing clubs to overspend beyond their means and get into trouble. Birmingham City, points deduction. Bolton Wanderers on the verge of administration. Last season it was Aston Villa on the verge of administration. Sunderland, chaos. It is unsustainable, and only very few clubs can actually afford to pay these agents' fees. And fans pay the price as a result, with an overinflated ticket price, overinflated merchandise, and overinflated food and drinks. Whereas smaller clubs overspend and get into trouble, and then are punished by the EFL, the Premier League, and the FA for doing so. The FA needs to regulate this better. UEFA needs to regulate this better, because that is an insane amount of money. The amount on agents' fees alone is equal to Neymar's transfer to PSG. With that amount of money spent, you could buy 7 Pacific Island nations. That is an obscene amount of money. And I think a complete waste. Even if the agents' fees were at a far lower level, those agents, could, live comfortably. That is an obscene amount of money for doing very little work. It's wrong. And while I love sport, something has gone wrong here. And I wouldn't be surprised if agents' fees across other sports are very, very similar. Out of control, not properly regulated, not transparent enough, because we're starting to see bigger and bigger salaries again in rugby league and rugby union and other top-level professional sportsmen and women getting represented by these wealthy, big agencies that cover more than just football. And some of the salaries some of these top-level sportsmen are on across the world is staggering, and their agents are getting a huge percentage of any kind of contract negotiation or anything like that. They're making a lot of money, and this is the very murky world of professional sport that is poorly regulated, not transparent, and very complex. Just look at the Emiliano Sala transfer from Nantes to Cardiff. There were 4 agents involved in that. I'm scratching my head as to why. Why would a transfer require 4 agents and 4 agents getting a cut off that transfer? Emiliano Sala and Nantes originally didn't want to leave Nantes. He wanted it to stay. They overinflated his price and there's some murky goings on there that have ended up where we are, with a young man, very talented player, beloved by the community he lived in, beloved by the club he played for, losing his life in a plane crash. That should never have happened. Agents' fees are dark and murky, and I think it's killing football. And eventually, it's going to, strangle the life out of other sports as well. This needs to be better regulated. If the FA has got that much of a black hole in its finances, put a levy on these fees, and suddenly those agents will reduce their fees a little bit because they don't want to have to lose as much money out of their pocket to the FA. Because these fees are unsustainable at those levels. They're worth more than transfers themselves. That is stunning. But there we go. That is a staggering amount of money. And the fact that the transfer values have dropped by 500 million, yet fees have gone up, is wrong. Absolutely wrong. There is something not right there. And these agents and the spending and the money in football is there's got to be a break and a control, because at the moment the transfer market's out of control, overinflated. Player wages are obscene to the point of crippling clubs, so they're going bankrupt. Yet the players demand more and more and more. All they're doing is kicking a ball around a field for 90 minutes and training a couple of days a week. And they want 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 200 grand a week. It's obscene. It is absolutely obscene. But, they need to be on more realistic wages, because football has lost touch with its working class roots a long time ago. And it's becoming more and more unaffordable for regular fans to go watch, be it on TV or actually at grounds, and clubs are going bankrupt as a result. But that's my view on it. I'm a bit more passionate than I normally am on a video. Normally I'm pretty like, this has happened, this is crazy, but this is actually becoming the point where it's out of control and is actually more damaging for the sport and sport in general than it needs to be. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below on agents' fees and are they acceptable? And I'll have some more videos for you soon.